Greetings, Internet. Welcome to the first of what I hope to be many videos of Fandom Through the Ages, a video series where we're going to talk about mythology, talk about what it means, and as well as look at other fandoms, modern and ancient. Before we get started, I'd like to thank Dale Kingsmill at Monarch's Factory for inspiring me to get me and my friend, who you'll meet later in the week, to do something with our lives and make a video or two. So, what's better for a first video than a video talking about a origin mythology? Today we're going to look at Romulus and Remus and the founding of Rome. In origin mythology that is not typical to the normal origin mythos, but there are parts of it very well known in modern culture. Romulus and Remus are born to Rhea Silva, the daughter of the deposed king of Alba Longa, which is a city-state on Latium, or Italy. Rhea Silva was forced by the Upsir to become a Vestal Virgin, priestesses who are sworn to the goddess Vesta, who is the goddess of the hearth, and they are sworn with a vow of chastity, as well as tending an eternal hearth, or the eternal fire of the hearth. While sources don't seem to agree on who the father was, there's the agreements tend to be that it was Hercules, Mars, or she was raped and blamed it on divine intervention in an attempt to stave off the blame, which Livy specifically decries. Rhea Silva eventually becomes pregnant and gives birth to the twins Romulus and Remus. Traditionally, a Vestal Virgin who has broken her vow of chastity, be it deliberately or not, was buried alive, and the twins with her, or the kids with her. But Aemilius, fearing the anger of whichever deity, be it Hercules or Mars, the god of war himself, instead imprisoned Rhea Silva and ordered the twins put to a living burial. Depending on the source, to be drowned in the river Tiber, or otherwise exposed to the elements, left out in a field or something of the sort, hoping if the elements were to kill them, instead of him ordering their blood taken himself, it would deflect any anger from the gods. Universally, across every source, be it that we have to this day, the story is the same for this. The servant who has been given the job of taking these twins out and exposing them takes pity on them, and instead of leaving them out to die, places their basket on the river Tiber. They are saved by divine intervention of Tiberus, the river god of the river Tiber, or plain luck, depending on your belief. And they come to rest amongst the roots of a fig tree, which were sacred at these times, given that fig trees tended to provide food, as well as wood and oils. In perhaps one of the most truly famous images of Roman mythology, and one of the most Roman, the twins are found by a she-wolf who suckles and cares for them, along with the aid of a woodpecker, for either a day or several days, until they are found by Faustulus, a shepherd. They grow up as good, honest shepherds by all accounts, diligent in their work, but also taking great fun in hunting not just beasts, but brigands, or even leading similar-minded youth in raids against neighboring city-states' herds, stealing livestock or money when they could. Which all seems, from the sources, to be just a part of the time. That was what kids did. If kids got killed doing it, they got killed doing it. Livy claims that the twins were ambushed by former brigands during the festival of Lupercalia, and Remus was captured and taken before Aemilius, ironically on the same charges that the brigands had caused, charges of invading the land of Numitor, who, unbeknownst to the twins, was their grandfather, as well as stealing from him, and other various petty crimes that the brigands themselves had taken. Faustulus, having figured out that the twins were indeed the heirs to the throne of Alba Longa, who had been ordered to be killed, panicked upon hearing that Remus had been taken before his enemy, or his father's enemy, Emilius, and told Romulus his true heritage. Remus, who is being held in the custody of Numitor at this time, learns the same truth from Numitor, who had begun to figure out that this brother, knowing that he has a twin, could very well be his grandchildren. Emilius, on the other hand, was certain that the twins had been killed, and did not think anything of these twins who had been brought before him. The twins, having learned of their heritage, Romulus specifically, gathers a band of shepherds together and leads a rebellion during which to free his brother, during which Emilius is killed. They are then offered the throne of Alba Longa, and instead of taking it, since apparently killing the king gives you the throne, they restore their grandfather Numitor to power, and left to found their own city. The brothers decided to found the city where they had been found. Romulus wished to found it on Palatine Hill, where the fig tree sat at the base of, or is said to have sat at the base of, and Remus wanted to found it on Aventine Hill. They attempted to resolve their dispute via augury, marking out a sacred space on the hill, and determining who saw 6 birds first, or the most birds total, would win, and that would be where they settled Rome, or their new city. Remus won by seeing 6 birds first, but Romulus saw 12 total, and they argued, both brothers claimed victory. Romulus and his followers argued that they saw more birds, and thus they were more rightful in settling the city there, whereas Remus argued that he had won by the rules of the augury. Romulus, fed up with the arguing, simply began to build a trench and walls around his hill, just settling before his brother could. What happens next should not shock anyone familiar with Greco-Roman mythology. Remus and his followers began to mock Romulus's walls, Remus even jumping over the walls to show his contempt. And then, depending on which source you choose, several things can happen. Livy says that Romulus killed his brother in a fit of rage, and that seems to be the most popular story. Most sources apparently seem to agree that Romulus kills Remus. St. Jerome claims that Romulus's supporters did it. Others claim he simply dropped dead, a sign from the gods that prove the future power of Rome. Regardless of how it happens, Romulus now becomes the sole ruler of the city of Rome, named after himself. History records the death of Remus and the foundation of Rome on the same day. While the year itself specifically varies depending on the era, so the Republic or later Empire, and the sources, almost every source universally agrees that it was on the 21st of April. Romulus would later become Quirinus, a god of Rome and a major part of Roman mythology for many centuries afterward. Now, there are several reasons this myth is really interesting. The first is that it's one of the few myths that gets retold in modern times that is actually Roman. You get so much of Roman mythology that is reskinned Greek mythology or otherwise adopted from another culture, since Romans tended to accept others' gods as long as they agreed that their gods, which tended to be the Greek gods, were superior. And then this one is truly wholly Roman. The other thing is Romulus and Remus are said to be descendant of Aeneas, the Trojan hero, but from the Greek works of the Aeneid, who is ultimately considered one of the patron founders of Rome, despite it being his great 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 grandkids who did it. And then the other thing is, this is a very practical origin myth. There's some slight divine intervention from Tiberius, the river god, and maybe Mars, maybe Hercules, the demigod. Again, tying them to Greek mythology, where the Greeks being the primate power of the region, tying yourself to their mythology gives you a sense of legitimacy that we now emulate in modern society by comparing ourselves to Rome. But this has very little divine intervention or magic. It is a very practical, very moderately brutal story that is simply about their ability to triumph. It's very confusing given as origin myths go. Athens was, given a fountain of seawater or the olive tree, and many of the Greek cities have these grand origin stories. It's really emulative of what Rome will do later, with being a very practical, brutal civilization, but also very effective and capable of spreading across much of the world that they knew. That's it for the first video of Fandom Through the Ages. Next one you'll be seeing is my friend, and she'll introduce herself then. This is also about 2 days late. Hopefully the next one you'll see will be on time. Thanks.